Good morning, afternoon, or evening, guys. We're back with another random tier list. Talking today about ways to die and how favorable or unfavorable you are. As we are humans, everybody is eventually going to kick the bucket one day. And knowing which ways you want to die, which ways you maybe not want to die, well, to be honest, it probably will not save you. And you probably won't get to pick. But it's fun to kind of consider anyway. So that's what we're going to be ranking today. Our tier list goes from hoping for this, I'll take it, I hope not, God no, and please anything else. So down at the bottom, these are going to be the worst ways to die. Up at the top, these would be the most favorable ways to die, I believe. I'm going to go by the pictures. I may or may not know exactly what it is from the image, but most of them I think are pretty self-explanatory. So yeah, if you guys like videos like this, interact on this video. And leave a comment if you want to see something specific or if you want to correct me on a mistake I make in the video. Go ahead and starting with buried alive, or at least caved in, trapped, right? That type of thing. For this one, I'm going to put God no, because you're just going to slowly die, right? Now, I don't know how painful it would be until you, start dying of hunger or thirst. But in terms of dying, I mean that'd be pretty bad because you're just waiting to die basically, and then you're still fully conscious, you're awake, you're twiddling your thumbs basically waiting to die. So that'd be pretty bad. Fortunately, you wouldn't be bleeding out or anything like that. We'll probably get to some worse ones. Next one we got here is going to be being crushed alive. So being crushed would be pretty bad. Now I'm assuming that when you have something heavy fall on you, it's gonna kill you pretty quickly. Okay, so if it lands on your head, right, you're dead. You don't feel it. Cool. But if it lands on like your whole body except your head, you might be alive for a little bit, and that sounds horrible. Though I think that would it like be too much pain that like your body would just shut down and you just go into shock really quickly? I don't know. Being crushed to death, I'm gonna put in the God no tier. Freezing to death, I'm gonna say that I hope not. The only reason that this one is not as bad as the other ones, I think, is that once you go numb and everything, you're gonna slowly die and everything, but I don't think it's gonna be as painful as some of these others because your body's gonna be so numb and cold and everything that I don't think you're going to be feeling a lot of it, and you're gonna watch you get frostbite, whatever. You're gonna watch your body decay essentially in the snow, which is pretty morbid and pretty terrible. But I don't think it's gonna be as painful as these other two down here. So I'd put that in. I hope not. Falling to your death. This one I would probably put in. I mean, it's everybody's worst fear, right? Or a lot of people's worst fear. If you're afraid of heights, this is like it for you. The good thing about this one is when you hit the ground, you probably die really fast. But just with being crushed, there's a chance that you don't. So, I mean, falling and like snapping all the bones in your body, and you're still alive somehow, and then you'd end up dying anyway. That'd be pretty bad. Being beaten to death, kidnapped and beaten to death. Yeah, I don't want that. This sounds like torture too. That's the other thing that like, honestly, this might be a please anything else because if you're chained up like that or tied up like that and somebody's kidnapped you and whatnot, like that's gonna be torture, right? Where they're just beating the crap out of you. That's gonna hurt a lot, repeatedly. So please anything else other than that. Um, Being lost in space, I also want to put in please anything else, but when I'm considering it, it probably would be along the lines of the getting trapped, where you'd slowly die from hunger or thirst or your suit running out of the essentials that you need. So I'm going to put it in God no for now, and we might end up moving that. Old age, I think, is probably one of the better ways to die on here. Now, of course, as people get older and older, you do have a reduced quality of life in some cases, but I think being able to live a long life and knowing that you've lived a long life probably does provide some solace in that. So I think out of the ways to die on this list, I think that old age is preferable. Next up, we have getting shot. And while getting shot is definitely not something I'm hoping for, I think it may be less painful than getting crushed because it would be a single shot. And I feel like if it's to an artery or somewhere that's going to kill you, your body's gonna shut down and start to go into shock pretty quickly. So I'm gonna put being shot in I hope not. I actually think I prefer that over freezing to death. Yeah, I actually think I'd prefer that over freezing to death. Being eaten alive by anything, being eaten alive by an alligator. I think this would be along the lines of the torture, right, where you're just slowly being eaten. Hopefully, he just goes for your head first, and it's just over. Because if he starts from the legs up, that's gonna suck. Next up, we have heart attack. Heart attack. Honestly, hoping for that. Not that I'm hoping for it, in general, but hoping for it compared to these other things. I think that's up there with old age. A lot of people that die from old age, it is some type of minor heart attack or just some other part of their body shutting down. So this is along the lines of that, right, where it's going to be a specific thing. Your body's going to shut down pretty quickly. And obviously you're still alive, but I feel like with the heart attack, you're going to be on the ground. You're going to be, dealing with it. How do you talk about this? What are the terms I'm supposed to use? I think a heart attack would be better than being eaten alive or being shot or anything like that. Overdose, I'd say I'll take it. Definitely, definitely worse ways to die. Definitely better ways to die, depending on what you're using. You may or may not actually feel anything here. I don't know what this one is called. Is this being smothered? If it's being smothered, I'd say I'll take it. Because once you go unconscious and then, the blood to your brain stops and then you die, you're not going to feel as much other than that. So if that's being smothered, I'll say I'll take it. I can't really tell what else that image is supposed to show there. I believe this image is meant to show suicide, but I don't want to talk about that on this subject. So I'm going to just go ahead and say this is hanging. So, having something around your neck, hanging, the preferred way of execution for a long, long time in many parts of the world. I think hanging is not a good way to die, but I think it is probably better than the stuff we've talked about in the God No tier. Strangling, same thing. Probably same type of concept there, right? I see fire here. I don't know if this is an explosion or burning to death, but this one I do think would be pretty bad. Yeah, you're just going to slowly feel your body turn into a well-done steak, and that's terrible. Car accident, or specifically this is being hit by a car. This one is probably worse than a gunshot because it's going to be a much more impact, and you're probably not going to die right away. But that said, is it enough? I guess it depends on the severity. I'd say I'd go God no, but that one would really depend on the severity. Drowning. I think that the scariest thing about drowning, and this is going to sound stupid, but I think the scariest thing about drowning is the fear of it. I think that once you would actually start drowning, like it's similar to like being choked, right? But in this one, I feel like it would happen faster, and obviously it wouldn't be good. But I feel like once you knew you were gonna drown, you just know you were gonna die, and I don't know. That just sounds better to me. I'm gonna put it in the I'll take it tier. Something that I won't put there is dying of thirst in the desert, or dying of thirst in general. That does not sound fun. Does not sound fun. I think we need another tier, guys, and I'll explain this in a sec. So we're going to add a row, and we're going to name this Waiting to Die. And I think in some ways the waiting to die, it's like, yeah, it's not painful, usually, unless your body starts shutting down or whatever. Now I'm questioning what that even means, but being buried alive, being lost in space, dying of thirst in the desert. These are all you're kind of just waiting to die. We could even add the being buried alive to this list. Those would all be bad. You're just waiting to die. So it's probably worse than the God No, but it depends on the severity of that. I mean, if you have, there are ways that you could get hit by a car, crushed by something, or fall off a cliff that would be much worse than these. But there's also ways you could die really quickly, and that would be better. So that's why we're going to separate these. Our please anything else tier still stands. All right, having your throat slit. This one sucks because it's gonna hurt. You're gonna feel it. You're gonna start choking on your own blood. It's not as bad as the please anything else. So I guess I'm gonna put it in God No, but definitely a bad thing. Here we see a body breaking into pieces. Now I don't know what situation this would happen in, because we already have falling right here. So maybe that's I couldn't see it because of the silhouette. So this is somebody beating you to death. Yeah, so this can be in please anything else. It goes along with the torture one, right? Where that'd probably suck. Because it's like torture. You're just gonna repeatedly get hurt until you can't take it anymore and you die. And then finally being stabbed in the back. Probably God No, right? I don't think it's a please anything else. I think I'd prefer to get stabbed in the back than eaten by a crocodile, personally. So yeah, that's what our tier list looks like now. This is a very weird one to do, guys. I try to do this as lightly as possible, but I definitely don't take any offense if you did not make it to this part of the video. So who am I talking to? It's alright. If you guys enjoyed this video or just enjoy tier lists in general, there'll be another one up tomorrow. And with all that said, this is the guy that does random tier lists. Let's do a more fun one tomorrow.